Take the short flight north to Seattle, where the Seattle port, which is also on the west coast, is growing as well thanks to exports to China. Washington State Governor Jay Inslee will visit China next month, and I had a chance to speak with him about the state's potential for more trade and his upcoming visit.
This is a very exciting opportunity for my state, both from the standpoint that we think we've got some great products to associate and sell in China, from almond roca to pears to Boeing 787s. We got great markets. We want to talk to people in China about how they can explore those opportunities. But the other way too, we're looking for investment in our state. We think there's good opportunities for great business relationships in China. So I'm very excited about this opportunity.
Let's talk about the two-way trade. Let's start with Washington State exports to China.
Right.
Obviously, you have the big companies you mentioned, Starbucks, Microsoft, places like Holland America, and obviously Boeing. Even though they're not headquartered here, the commercial aircraft group is here as well.
Right.
What does this trip, how will it benefit the exporters of Washington State?
Well, as governor of the state of Washington, I represent 6.5 million people who are making some of the cutting-edge, world-class products in a whole host of industries. Obviously in jets with Boeing, obviously software with Microsoft, and Valve as a game designer, obviously in Starbucks, which we hope to have in every corner in China shortly, but smaller companies as well. In wine, we have a huge proliferation of great wineries across the state of Washington. Some of these are mom and pop businesses. We have this candy maker that I mentioned, makes almond roca in Brown and Haley in Tacoma. So we've got smaller businesses too that have great, really world-class products. We want to help people in China understand that potential.
You're going there with your delegation. We talked about exports. What about imports? What about investments coming in from China here to the United States and here to the state of Washington? Well, what are you hoping to achieve?
Well, what we hope is to make sure investors in China understand that we are a very open, cosmopolitan state that welcomes investment from overseas and in China. And there's some great opportunities here. About 2 hours ago, I was on the streets of downtown Seattle here, and a fellow I've known in the trade community came up and said, hey, we have a multi-$100 million investment coming from China that we're going to announce in a few weeks in the biofuel space that will be an investment from China in our biofuels industry opportunities in the state of Washington. So it's great when you can be walking down a sidewalk and hear about an investment opportunity from China to grow jobs and businesses in our state. We're excited about that opportunity.
I have to ask you a tough question here. You've spent a lot of time in Washington, D.C. You know that culture very well. And these days, Congress in Washington, D.C. has their own complaints about what's happening in China, most notably about technology and software and some of the issues with security. The states seem to be much more open and much more welcoming towards investment to and from China. Do you find that a challenge when you talk to senior officials in China?
I don't think they're mutually incompatible. We can swap trades and services and grow businesses on both sides of the Pacific and still challenge one another to improve some of our performance. I think it is important for our side of the Pacific to help encourage leaders in China to find ways to respect intellectual property. And one of the reasons is that China will certainly be and is developing its own intellectual property. People in China will have an interest of protecting that investment. So I don't think these are mutually incompatible, and creative intentions can be productive.
There are 49 other states in the United States that are also competing for business to and from China as well. And obviously, Washington State has a huge advantage because of the historical relationship with China. What would you tell the other governors who are trying to essentially emulate what you're doing right now?
I'll tell them that they're way behind us in line. We're first in line, if you will. And we are in a good position to grow our relationship with China. We're closest physically. We've had a great cultural relationship with the Chinese people. It's great that we have an ambassador, my predecessor, Gary Locke, who was the first Asian American governor of our state, who now we're very proud is our ambassador in Beijing. I'll be visiting him. He's going to do a meeting at his home in Beijing for us. I appreciate that. So we've got both physical, economic, and cultural ties with people in China, and they can get better, and they're going to.
Governor Jay Inslee will visit several cities on his overseas trade mission to China. He's expected to travel in early November with a delegation of 40 individuals to accompany him.